If you're looking to book appointments with an AI agent, this video is going to save you weeks. I'm Brendan from Inflate AI. Over the past 2 years, we've built agents across dozens of industries, generating hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales. And today I'm giving you our ultimate appointment booking agent template. You're gonna get the exact flows, prompts, and logic that we use in production. So here's a quick demo to showcase what I'll be building.
Hello, can I please book an appointment for Monday at 3 p.m. Of course, the time is available. Great. This is my name. This is my email. And there we go. Perfect. We've just gone ahead and booked in for this time on Monday.
So this agent handled everything from scheduling my appointment, finding alternative times, canceling and rescheduling, all based on my requests. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through how to build this AI agent using n8n. Whether you want to connect this into some AI phone system to create a virtual receptionist, integrate it into a chat-based support system, or use it as a personal assistant to manage your calendar, this agent can be used. If you do want access to this template for completely free, you can do so by joining my free school community, which is linked in the description. We've got free courses for n8n, Make, Vappy, VoiceFlow, and more, in addition to 40+ AI agent templates. So please come join our vibrant community. We've got almost 10,000 AI enthusiasts now who can help answer any of your questions. I'd also appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel and leave a comment below. These templates are easily worth thousands of dollars alone, and I am giving them away all for free. So jumping into n8n, this right here is our booking template that's going to allow us to book appointments, cancel appointments, reschedule them, check availability, and also handle a lot of other nuanced parts of the booking process. So if you book multiple appointments, the system is going to be able to handle that. It's got a lot of smart prompting behind this to be able to enable that. And so once again, this is a system that you can plug into whatever you like. So at the moment, I'm just going to demo this system using n8n's built-in chat function. So I'm just going to talk to it and show you the use case and the capabilities of it. But you can take this and integrate it into maybe Vappy to build a voice agent. You could build it into VoiceFlow with a chat agent, or you could build this into whatever automation you like, and it's just going to run exactly as the way it will now. Now, if you are a regular on the channel, you'll know that I did recently create a video where I built this exact same template on make.com, and that template was a lot more conditional than this. So this template is really leveraging prompt engineering to handle all of that logic and conditioning. This is a bit more of an agentic system than what we built out on make.com. So to get started in building out this template, like I said, we're just going to be testing it using the chat to trigger module. So at the start, I am just going to trigger it by using the chat. So that just means I can click down here and start to type away and talk to our agent. Once again, you can use whatever you like. If you would like to use a webhook to plug this into anything else, you can do that as well. Once we send our message, that is going to go ahead and get sent to our AI agent. And this is where a lot of our logic is going to be handled. And so this is, if you aren't familiar with n8n, is the sort of central hub, the central agent that controls everything that is occurring. And so in this case, we are going to give it a big long system prompt to essentially enable it to have an understanding as to exactly what it should be doing. And so in this case, it is a specialized appointment booking agent, and it has complete context as to everything that it's capable of doing. So if it's booking appointments, canceling them, rescheduling them, finding availability, it has complete context as to everything that needs to be done in order to complete your request. So jumping into this AI agent module, what we'll see here, if we just scroll down just a little bit, is our system message, and this is going to be the main part of this system. So if I click down here, we can enlarge this. I'm just going to go through this entire prompt as to exactly how it works. But before I do that, I am just going to give you a quick rundown to everything and all the components connected to this. So we do have our main AI agent, and this main AI agent has this system prompt here. So as I just clicked in, this system prompt controls a lot about what it is capable of doing. So whether that's checking the availability, it has context for that. Whether it's creating a booking, it has context, retrieving existing bookings, canceling bookings, rescheduling them, general instructions to handle edge cases is all included in this to give that agent the complete structure for doing its bookings. Now, if we go out of this and we head to the tools. So tools right next to prompting is a really important aspect of building these systems and getting them to work really well. And so there really are 2 components to building out a tool. And so you'll see my tools here. We've got 5 different tools to complete our entire booking process. And so the first tool that we have is to get booking information. And so if we click into here, we've built built out a connection to cal.com. And so cal.com is what we're going to be using to handle these bookings. So the reason that we like to use cal.com is that it gives us quite a bit of flexibility when making appointments. For the most part, the free version of cal.com is going to do everything that you need it to. We've never really even needed to upgrade to the paid plan, although it is an option if there are more features you need. But otherwise, the benefit of going to cal.com as opposed to going straight to Google Calendar or Microsoft's Outlook is that we are able to create events. So events are essentially different types of bookings. So if we want to create a 1 hour long event to book in for, we can just create that event on cal.com and then we can essentially talk to that event to make our booking. And so this is different to sending a request to Google Calendar where we then have to specify all those details in that request. Now, it's not the biggest difference in that regard. One of the really good things about cal.com is simply their APIs. If we compare this to something like Calendly, which you may have heard of, Calendly's APIs are terrible. We essentially wouldn't be able to do this as good as we are with Calendly. Cal.com just makes this a lot easier. But anyways, other than that, once you've got a cal.com account set up, what you can do is start to add in these details. Now I'm going to go through this in the more specific details in a minute, but I just want to give you a general context as to what this specific tool is doing. So in our description at the top here, this tool is used to retrieve the information of an existing meeting that is already scheduled. This is used to get the UID of the existing meeting so that we can either cancel to reschedule the meeting based on the user's request. So very simply, it is able to take some information from the user and find all of their existing bookings. And the reason that we're doing this is so that later we can cancel or reschedule that existing meeting. Then we've got a book appointment tool. This is for, you guessed it, booking appointments. So very simple. This module is used for booking appointments after the user has agreed to a specific time. Obviously, they have to provide a time to make a booking. And once they've done so, we are able to book in. Then after this, we have a check availability function. And you guessed it, once again, this is for checking availability. So if somebody wants to book in for tomorrow at 3 p.m., we obviously need to run a bit of a condition to check, is that even available, before we try to book it and get an error. And so this is something that we'll add for availability. And one of the key things here is that this is all now going to do with prompting. So rather than saying conditionally, you must run check availability before making a booking, we've just prompted our agent to say, if somebody would like to make a booking, try to run the check availability first to actually see if it's available, then try to make the booking. And so it's really intelligent because it has that in complete context as to what is going on. Then after this, we have the cancel booking tool. And so this is, once again, for canceling a meeting. This tool is used to cancel a meeting. It's called after getting the UID value from the get booking information. And without the UID value, we cannot cancel a booking. So this is a bit of prompt conditioning that we've added in here. Essentially, what we're doing is we are taking a value and we are using it to make a booking. So in this case, once again, it's all down to prompting. In order to cancel an appointment, we need to find the specific details to get that specific event to cancel. And it will do that using the booking information tool from before. And once again, our prompt is going to handle this and it's going to be able to put all of these pieces together. And then lastly, we've got the reschedule tool. So this is going to be used to, once again, reschedule our appointments. And that works very similar to the cancel appointment tool. So it obviously needs to look up that user's specific bookings, find those bookings, find the specific IDs for them, and then we're able to reschedule that to whatever time that the user has requested. So hopefully you have a general idea as to exactly how this system works. But next, I'm going to jump into the AI agent and the main system prompt that powers this entire automation. And I'm going to run down exactly everything that I've done in that prompt and why I've done it as well. And then after that, I am going to go through each of these tools and the functions that we're calling, exactly why we're doing them, as well as the descriptions that we've used for these tools and all of the prompt work that we've done to make this work fluently. So jumping into our main AI agent, I am going to go down to our main system prompt and just enlarge it. So I'm just going to work down this prompt top to bottom and just go through everything that we've included. So at the top here, so you can see at the top here, we've listed a few things that we expect this agent to receive and communicate between. So what that means is that you'll be given a time and maybe asked to check availability, create a booking, retrieve upcoming booking information, cancel an existing booking, reschedule an existing booking. And so right out the gate, we've just shown to this agent, you are likely to have to do this set of tasks. And we're going to go ahead and then just describe each of these tasks in detail so it has complete context as to what it needs to do. So at the moment, we're being very strict with this agent. We've just said this is the series of things that you might be required to do. And if so, here's how to do it. So right after this, we have checking availability. So we have just done this in order. So checking availability is something that it may have to do. And then below this, we have our checking availability steps. So first up, use the check availability tool to verify the requested time slot. This is the current date and time in Sydney, Australia for your understanding. And then it's gone ahead and put in a date and time. Now, this is a very critical part of the prompt. So depending on your time zone, this is obviously going to be different. I'm located in Melbourne, which is the same time as Sydney in Australia. What I've gone ahead and done is added in the exact time zone that I'm in, as well as the exact date and time with a dynamic variable using n8n. So this is very important. You will obviously need to change this for your exact exact time zone. This doesn't happen automatically. So make sure to update that for yourself or for your client that you're building this for. Now, that is the main part of checking the availability. So pretty much all this agent does is it's the central hub of what needs to get done. And so we've just told it, use the check availability tool to verify the requested time slot. So it just needs to understand that somebody would like to reschedule or somebody would like to check availability. We've then asked, can I check availability for 3 p.m.? And then it's going to have context as to checking the availability for 3 p.m. and it is able to do that. But what we have done is added in some conditioning to make sure that we are getting the exact input and output that we're expecting. And so below this, we have, you must resolve any relative date expressions like tomorrow, next Friday, or this weekend by referencing the current date above. And so this is important because somebody might come through and say, I'd like to book tomorrow. And then obviously it's, what date is tomorrow? What day is today? It's got no context for that. And so we need to sort of prompt it to say, look at the date of today, look at their requests and try to put 2 and 2 together to figure out the actual time date that they're looking for. And this will just make the conversation quite a bit smoother. And so if you wanted to book for next weekend or next Friday, and then it has the exact date, the AI is way smart enough to put the 2 together, figure out exactly when you'd like to check availability, and then process that request. Now below this, we've got once the tool output is returned, if the requested time is available, confirm that it is available and ask if you would like to proceed with the booking for that specific time. So once we've done that, we are now leading on to the rest of the parts of the build. So pretty much, checked availability. Now there is going to be something that happens after this. And so in this case, we've checked availability and we're just going to ask them, would you like to proceed with a booking for that specific time? If not, the tool output is not returned. Inform them that the requested time is unavailable and suggest nearby alternative times. And so this system and the tool, and we'll look at this later, is able to provide alternative times. And so that's obviously a benefit if you're going to be checking availability. And it's not available, you obviously want it to give you some times that are available to make the conversation far more smoother. And so it does exactly that. It'll offer those alternatives. Under this, it says never return any blank output. That's just a bit of prompt conditioning to make it run smoother. If the entire day is unavailable, check the same time on the next day and return those options. So if the time that they're looking to book for is essentially at the end of the day and there's just no other time slots, it will go ahead and check the next time as well for the next day and then provide those bookings as well. Next, once the user confirms an acceptable time, proceed to booking in the next step. So pretty much this check availability step leads on to the next part, which is quite a bit more of a simple process. So creating a booking. So only proceed with creating a booking if the requested time has been confirmed available. So this is pretty important. So obviously when we're making bookings, if you try to make a booking, or the system prompt in this case tries to make a booking for 3 p.m. and 3 p.m. is not available and it pulls back an error, you are likely to have a bit of an issue going on with your conversation. It's just going to tell the user that there was an error or a technical error, and ideally we can avoid that. And so we can avoid that through just checking if the time is available or not. So this just makes sure that that occurs. Otherwise, it's going to use the create booking tool. So this is all we need to do to leverage and call our tool once again, just by simply telling it to run that tool. Super easy. And then it will go ahead and schedule that appointment, confirm that it was successfully created, and then never create a booking for a time that was not explicitly confirmed as available. So more prompt conditioning that we've added in there to make sure that it is the exact booking time that they're asking for. Then after this, we've got the retrieving existing booking info. So once again, it's on that next tool. Use the get booking information tool when the user asks about existing or upcoming bookings. So we just added in some conditioning. If somebody is asking about existing bookings or upcoming bookings, anything related to that, we are going to need to use this tool. If there are no upcoming bookings, inform the user of that. There is one upcoming booking, grab that UID in use for cancellation or rescheduling if needed. So this is important as well. There's 2 different pathways that could happen here. So somebody could be interested in canceling an appointment or rescheduling an appointment. And if they have booked multiple appointments, we need to be able to handle that. If they've only booked 1 appointment, we also need to be able to handle that as well. So if somebody has 3 appointments they've booked and they're looking to cancel the last one that they booked, we obviously need to say, okay, look, you've got 3 appointments. Which of these 3 would you like to cancel? And we've got the condition set up to be able to handle that. And if they've only got 1 booking, we can provide the information and then also just store that value to be able to use if they actually wanted to cancel or reschedule it later. And then that moves on to the couple last parts of this prompt, which is canceling. So before canceling, ensure that you have the UID of the specific booking from the previous step. So the UID, you can think of that as just the unique identifier for our specific booking. So we need this UID to be able to find that booking and then do whatever we want with it. Once we have that, if only 1 upcoming booking exists, use the cancel booking tool immediately, and there's no need to ask the user. So super simple. If there was just 1 booking or 1 existing booking that was found using the previous tool, we can just cancel it. Otherwise, if multiple bookings exist, ask the user and wait for them to specify which one to cancel based on the list shown. So more prompt conditioning. If there are multiple bookings, confirming at a second time now, ask them exactly which one. So making sure of that. Provide a list, including the date and time of each booking. So if they aren't familiar which booking is the right one, we've added some conditioning to provide a list, including the date and time of each of those bookings. Once canceled, confirm the cancellation to the user. Do not cancel the booking without the user giving their email and you getting the UID from get booking information. So this is also a critical part of the prompts. Essentially, in order to find a booking that we want to cancel or find a booking that we want to reschedule, we do need an email in order to find the bookings to be able to cancel or reschedule. So we obviously want to make sure that every single time. Lastly, for our tools, we've got rescheduling a booking. So before rescheduling, ensure you've got the UID. Once again, very similar process to canceling. Ask the user for their new desired date and times. This is different. We want to ask them for the time they'd like to book. So resolve natural date expressions as in step 1 and format the date strictly as this. So this is really important if we are going to be rescheduling, because we're making a booking. We obviously want to make sure that the date and time and the exact point in time which that booking should be made is expressed properly. So if somebody once again says, I'd like to reschedule for tomorrow, we need that entire set of conditioning to happen again. So if we look back up, as I mentioned in the prompt here with step 1, come back up to step 1 where we had that conditioning for if somebody would like tomorrow, next Friday. We're just running that exact same prompt. Once again, we're referring to it in step 1. And so we're just going to use that same conditioning to make the proper appointment. Otherwise, use the check availability tool to verify if the new time is available. So we're now using that other tool to check if it's available. So you can really see there is quite complex logic that is actually occurring in a lot of these bookings. So if somebody wants to reschedule, we now need to check the availability. If it's not available, we have to then suggest that back and then suggest some new times with some alternative time slots. Otherwise, we are going to make the booking. And so there's a few different things happening here, but it happens really smoothly just using this single prompt in this one agent. So if that is available, use the reschedule booking tool with the UID and the new time. If not, suggest alternative nearby slots following the same logic as in step 1. And then once rescheduled, confirm the success to the user, including the updated date and time. Then below this, we just have some general instructions. This is sort of just notes and things that you add in as prompt conditioning and a bit of prompt engineering to just make the conversation a little bit smoother and have it work a little bit better. So at the moment, we've just added in be clear, concise, and confirm every step and result. Resolve all user specified time and references. So tomorrow, next Monday, that's a really important part of this prompt as you see. And then below this, you'll see current date from the AEST/AEDT time zone. So once again, making sure that you've got your exact time zone added into this system. And that is something you're willing to update. So note there, we do have the time zone at the bottom. Make sure to update that once again. Otherwise, format all time parameters exactly as this. This format is required by all the tools and must be always used for the correct bookings, etc., etc. So that is it for this entire system prompt for the agent. Fundamentally, all it is doing is laying out a set of instructions as to if you receive one input, what exactly is going to be happening from there, and what are the tools at your disposal to be able to complete that request successfully. So now I'm going to jump into the specific details for actually running these function calls through to cal.com. And I'm just going to run that through for a couple of these. And for the most part, they are very similar in the sort of authentication and calling the tools. And I'll also run through each of the individual prompts that all of these particular tools have to get triggered on their own. So jumping into this tool, this is for getting the booking information. So this is if somebody has an upcoming booking and they want to get some information on that because maybe they want to reschedule or cancel, or they just want that information. And so what we've got at the top here is a description. And this description, if you haven't used n8n before, is used as a prompt for the main agent to use and essentially understand that this is the tool for the job. And so in this case, this is used to get the UID of the existing meeting so that we can either cancel to reschedule the meeting based on the user's request. This right here is a prompt that is going to be utilized as a sort of secondary prompt specifically for this tool by the main agent. Then below this, what we're doing is using a GET request. And so a GET request, if you aren't familiar with APIs, is we're just looking to get information. And so we're sending off some data, we're sending off a request to get something, and we're going to be getting some data back. And so what we're doing, we're sending that request off to cal.com. And within this particular request, what we've done is we've added in an event type ID, and we've gone ahead and added in my email. And that is pretty much it. We've also obviously added in our authentication. So we've added in our API key for our cal.com account, and we've added in some further API versions as well. So this is all within the documentation. This is obviously all going to be within the template in the school community. So you can go ahead and copy this completely if you would like to do that. But otherwise, I'm just going to run through how to find this exact data. So jumping over to cal.com, once again, this is something that you can set up for completely free, and you can do quite a lot on their free account. You really don't need to upgrade unless you're looking to do maybe a round robin event or a more advanced Teams function. Otherwise, simple bookings really work work just on their free plan. So this is my account right here. And if I just jump into one of my events, let's say the 30-minute meeting, I want to jump into here. Now you might not be able to see it, but on my screen in the top of my URL, there is actually a number, and that number is the event ID that we can use to essentially check the bookings and whatnot. And so once you get that ID and we come back to n8n, this is essentially the number that I can see in my URL within this page right here in the event. And so all you need to do is type event type ID, put that in there, and now it's looking at the exact event that the booking should be on. Coming down here, you'll see a attendee email. So you just got to type in attendee email. And then there is a variable here for email. Now, one thing that's really awesome about n8n is that it can use AI for variables. So we don't need to specifically set a variable for the email to capture that data and run it conditionally. We can do it completely using AI. So this variable that says email is essentially a prompt. And it's just a very intelligent sort of prompt variable that just knows that the email should be populated here. So we don't have to do anything other than just type email. And below this, we've got the status. So the status is just the status of the bookings that we're looking for. So we aren't looking for bookings that have already passed or been canceled. So really just existing bookings that are upcoming in the future. And to that status is just called upcoming through cal.com. So super simple. Then below this, we have our authentication headers. So this is sort of just like our password that we use to get access to cal.com. And so you'll just see at the bottom here, authorization, like most API requests. And then we've just got a bearer key. And so if you aren't familiar with this, if you go to cal.com, head over to your settings, what you'll see at the bottom is something called API keys. What you can do is just click add, and you can generate a key, make sure to hit never expires on that key. You can name this whatever you'd like, copy that key, come over here, and it will essentially look exactly like this. It will just say cal_live, big long random code. And that's exactly what you're going to use for the API key. Below this, we've got the cal API version. So this is just the version of the API we're using. So I've just set it to the current date of what it currently is most up to date to. This is likely to change, but for the most part, this will work for quite a while. So just one thing to note. Once you've got that tool all set up, after this, we're going to be looking at the booking appointment tool. And so this has a little bit more of an extensive prompt. And so the prompt that we're using for this tool is this module is used for booking appointments after the user has agreed to a specific time. What we've added in is just more conditioning to do with the time that we're looking to book for. So this is obviously something that we covered quite heavily within the main system prompt, but we've just done it again right here. And then below this, we've gone ahead and added in all of the variables that we are going to be looking to use within this particular request. And so this is really good as sort of just a backup and a bit of prompt conditioning to really ensure that the system knows exactly what the email is, exactly what the name, description, and title is. And so this is used for email of who we're booking for, name of who to book in for, description as for exactly what the booking's about, and the title for, once again, sort of what the booking's about. And so pretty much what we're able to do through this is just add some conditioning so it's got some context as to what the variables are going to be, as these are used later in this entire request. So to book an appointment, a very similar process to the other cal.com request. Essentially, we're using a post request this time. So we're sending information off. And obviously in this case, we want to get returned a booking confirmation. So we're using a different endpoint, cal.com bookings. This is once again, it's a post request coming down. We've got our authorization. We're adding in our API key. So it's the same one as before. API version, same as before. Got some content type. And the reason we're doing this is because we have to send off some data. And so we're sending off some data because we want to specifically book an appointment for the details that were sent through. And so the reason that you'll see down here, JSON body, is that we've got some details for when we want to book for and who's obviously being booked as well. And so you'll see here, this bit of JSON code is once again, you'll be able to copy this directly from this template, but otherwise you'll see here name added in the variable. So once again, AI variable, it's going to do it all itself, which is awesome. It's super simple to just add that in and it's just going to fill it out automatically. And it's really intelligent. It pretty much works all the time. So we've got the name, we've got the email, event date, time, description, and title is all added into here. So it's a pretty streamlined, pretty simple process. Another thing to note is that the time zone is once again added manually into this. So if you are going to be changing this template, make sure to change the time zone as well. We've also got the event type ID. So you will need to change this for your specific use case as well in your specific cal.com account to be booking in the right account and not in my account, to make sure that that's included there as well. And then pretty much that is it. That is how you can make a booking directly using n8n. Then after this, the rest are very similar in terms of how we're making a request. If we jump into here, this is the prompt we're using for checking the availability. So it's a little bit more extensive. So retrieves appointment availability for a full workday window on the calendar. And you'll just see here, we've got a little bit of conditioning used for the time. So use time min and time max max to define the range. And the reason that we have this is actually to do with sort of the business hours and sort of like the free or busy hours of the day. And so one thing with Calendar.com is that you can essentially just set the time and hours of the business hours. And so if you build out a calendar event, you can say, look, we only want to accept events from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then any bookings outside of that are obviously going to be not available. And so we're just adding in some further conditioning to essentially align with that. And so if somebody wants to check the availability for 7 p.m. just through the prompt itself, we can just say, look, that's actually not available because, you know, that's not out within our business hours. And so rather than making a request or having the request fail with no context as to why it failed, we can just add in this in the prompt and it'll just do that a lot smoother. But otherwise, the process for making this request is very, very similar to before. You'll see the start time and end time. So this is once again just used for exactly the start of when you'd like to check the availability and the end of that as well. So if you'd like to book for 3 p.m., it's just going to look start time 3 p.m, end time 3:30 p.m. If we go back up to our prompt, it's essentially going to be conditioned to know to do that. And then once again, event type ID, time zone, one that'll need to be changed, and there's nothing else to that. Then we've got a cancel booking tool. So if we jump into the prompt here, this tool is used to cancel a meeting. Make sure to get the UID to do that. Value from the get booking tool. Without the value, we can't cancel the booking. Fill the reason for booking based on what the user tells. If the user did not mention any specific reason, just fill it as user requested cancellation. So given that we're using AI variables to do quite a few different things, we can actually fill in the description, the title, all these types of notes if you'd like to do that as well. Because we have full context as to the conversation that's occurring, we can actually just use a lot of that context without doing anything too special. And so that's just a small thing. You don't actually need to add that, but that is one thing that you can do. Otherwise, for canceling an appointment, we have added the variable for the UID of the appointment into our URL as well. So that needs to be added in there. Otherwise, it's a very standard process, adding in our key, adding in the API version. And then we have that cancellation reason, as we mentioned in the prompt for this. We could essentially just have a bit of a description for why it's been canceled, and we can use a little AI generated summary to do that. Then lastly, we have the reschedule booking. And so this is once again, got a bit of a prompt, a little bit more extensive. And so this is very similar to the cancellation part of the prompt. So these parts here are exactly the same. So the UID value, get booking information tool, we need that value for it to work. And then we've just added in some more conditioning from some of the earlier prompts to make sure that the date and time for the specific booking is within the right time zone and the right formatting. So it's a lot of repeat stuff happening here, but this is all to do with prompt conditioning, prompt formatting, prompt engineering. We do want to make sure that it's continuously reminded that you need to format the right data, you need to make sure it's in the right time zone, and you need to do it properly. But otherwise, there we have it. That is the complete appointment booking tool. Because we're using prompts, it is actually quite a lot more streamlined than something that we built out on Make.com, because we're handling all of that logic using prompts. Here's a quick demo of running the system. So I'm just gonna start my conversation by saying,
hello. Can I please book an appointment for Monday at 3 p.m? Request the time is available. Great. This is my name. This is my email. And there we go. Perfect. We've just gone ahead and booked in for this time on Monday. And I can go ahead and see that this has gone ahead and booked in for the time that I suggested on Monday. And then what I could do is reset this chat completely. So we'll hit reset. It's a brand new conversation, so it has no memory of what just happened. We're going to say, hi, can I please reschedule my appointment 1 hour forward? So it's going to look into that and it's going to go ask for my email. I'm going to provide it with my email once again. It's now found a couple of appointments that I've booked through. So I did have one appointment that was also booked for today, but I am going to go ahead and suggest to move the meeting on Monday forward. So I'm going to say, please move the Monday meeting on the 28th forward 1 hour. And there we go. Successfully rescheduled 1 hour forward. And now I can check my calendar and I can see this appointment is now 1 hour forward from when I booked previously. And now finally, once again, we can go ahead and reset this conversation, start from scratch. There's no memory whatsoever. And I can say, hi, I'd like to cancel my appointment. Provide the email address once again. It's once again found a couple of bookings that I've got currently at the moment. So one was for today and one was for Monday. Please cancel the Monday appointment on the 28th.
And there we go, successfully canceled, and it is no longer on my calendar. So we've been able to book, been able to reschedule, and we've been able to cancel. I hope you found this video helpful. Definitely check out this video right here where I built out an AI voice agent that was connected to an SMS system where I could send text messages to an AI voice agent live on the call. And it could also send text messages back to me live on the call.